Welcome to Life Through a Dram, where Danny Brown shares his take on life, being a better person, and appreciating the here and now, all accompanied by a dram and a fine single malt whiskey. And now, here's your host, Danny Brown.
Hey guys, and welcome to Life Through a Dram. It's a podcast that hopefully, will grow as it goes on, and it's just really about talking about life and people and, the good things as opposed to all the bad things that we see around the world. And speaking of bad things, I mean, sometimes when we read the news, it feels like the world, it's on a downward spiral. You can't help but see headlines after headlines from all parts of the world about ignorance, hate, bigotry, pointless tragic deaths. We had a tragedy in Toronto last week where a van, a driver in a van mounted the sidewalk and mowed down dozens of innocent people, leaving 10 dead and 15 injured. And you see news like that and you think, is the world, are we really on just like one crazy path to oblivion? And despite all the tragedy and all the bad news, there's always good news. I mean, you have stories, if you think back to a couple of years back, you have stories like the San Francisco Bat Kid, where, if you recall, if you saw the news, the city of San Francisco worked with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And what they did is they helped make the dreams of a 5-year-old cancer patient come true when they turned the city of San Francisco into a pretty much bang-on replica of Batman's Gotham City for a day. There was all sorts of bad guys, people dressed up as bad guys that, enabled the kid to rescue citizens in danger, as well as combat Batman's arch enemies, people like the Penguin and the Riddler. And you saw the kid, Miles, his name was, at the heart of it all, and he was just smiling and so joyous and so involved in the event and the day that you could really see what it meant to him. Over in the UK, a few years back, maybe 2-3 years back, there was an old soldier called Harold Jellicoe Percival, and he died in a nursing home back in November 2013. Because of his age, he didn't have any friends or family left to actually put him to rest. So someone saw this news story and posted on Facebook about, turning out to give an old hero a final send-off and a send-off that he deserves. And so the person put an advert in a local newspaper, and also on Facebook, and more than 300 people turned up to pay their respects to this, to Harold, who'd given so much in his lifetime, but had no one to give back to him, if you like, in his final days, which was an amazing thing to do, for a stranger, essentially. And you've also there's an organisation in the UK called Volunteers from the Passage. And what they've been doing is they've been using reverse psychology to raise money for the homeless. And basically what they do, they hold signs that shares the same message that a homeless person would use, except you can clearly see that the person who's sharing a message is much more fortunate and not homeless and, is living a good life, essentially. And using this reverse psychology makes people stop and take notice. Too often, and I've been guilty myself, too often we kind of put blinders on when we see homeless people. And, it's not a right thing to do, but it's in our subconscious, I guess. So when they were seeing people that weren't, homeless, it made them stop. And because of that, donations increased by 25%, and more than 650,000 people learned about the work that the Passage does, and also how they can help homelessness in their own towns and cities. So, you see things like that even when the world is looking bad and, you fear for your kids that you're raising now as youngsters, what world they're going to come into. Even through all that, it's clear that there's so much good in the world, and we can build on that and continue to build on that. And remember, at the end of the day, the world actually might be okay. So here's to the good people. Here's to us continuing to join these good people and hopefully making the world a better place, and making the world something that we don't have to be afraid of when we pick up the newspaper or click on Facebook to see what the latest headlines is. There's really a lot of good out there, and it's up to us to actually find that good and share that good. Anyway, guys, have a great weekend. I'm off to have a little dram of Ledaig 10-year-old, which is a really nice peaty whiskey from the Highlands of Scotland. So cheers and take care, and we'll speak the next time. Bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.
This has been Life Through a Dram. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.